Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 899 for the 10th of August. And the 11th of August is almost about over, and so I'm very late. Yesterday I said I'm not going to be late, but I got later because I got burned out. So I after the DP open mic, after I put out the frontline changes report, then I went out with my family for lunch, and then I just died. so I just died, and I just reincarnated. So this is yeah, we just have to make do, because I don't want, because there's a lot of things happening right now, and I cannot combine the SITREP into like 2 days SITREP. I think it will be a disservice to you guys, so I rather put this. I know the views will be lower, maybe I don't know, maybe 8,000, 5,000 people lesser will watch it, but I think it's still important to break it up, because if not, then it's pretty confusing when I start to do the mapping for the 11th of August. So there is nothing on of 11th of August over here. These are all purely 10th of August. So major things has happened, other than of course the fighting over in the Kursk front, that the Russians have actually launched, either they launched a major new operation, offensive operation, or the information just dropped over at the Kupiansk Svetove front region. So very important things. So let's start off with the latest situation over at the Kursk front. Yeah, I feel very guilty because I'm supposed to do a quick update on this thing, but no, yeah, I already died. So a dead person can't do reports. So anyway, on the western front, on the western front lines, there is fighting reported in various locations, and it does looks very disorientating, because Russian forces is reportedly attacking Lyubimovka. However, Ukrainian forces was reportedly attacking near Kerinovo and Elgovka. And based on the latest front line, it also suggests that the Ukrainians have a much bigger, front line. Sorry, I sneezed. And yeah, and then Russian was reportedly attacking Zeleny Shiliak. And so that's a bit of a weird thing. And Russian forces was allegedly attacking Nikolevo Darino. So some of these reports, these are all coming from the Russian Defense Ministry. They could be also just shelling. So because they say it's a fire attack, so it could be shelling, could be not shelling. Russian forces also reported the shelling of Svitlykovo. I think Svitlykovo is likely now going to be a forward operating base for the Ukrainians, given the centralized position of it. So, and it's in the middle of the road, they can actually send operations down in various directions. So this looks like the perfect place for it. This is how I look at it. Of course, this could also be another candidate for this front, particularly. So the front line around here is previously I said is pretty established. Now it's getting a bit more vague. Based on Russian sources, they say that the Ukrainians have taken all these forests around here. You can see all these forests. It doesn't look very clear right now, but yeah, all these forest regions is where the Ukrainians hide their forces right now, and this is definitely where the front line is likely going to be, and the Russians is unlikely to wander into this area here, because it is a sure way to die. But the Russians have strong positions at Kerinovo. This is 100% guaranteed. The Russians controls Kerinovo, and there is no fighting at the town. So this is the current situation. In the northern flank, where the incursion down the highway was, the Ukrainian forces did not stay along the highway. They went westward, and they tried to attack into Kauchuk. So there was fighting reported in Kauchuk, but then the forces that was hiding at the forest got struck by Iskander, so by tactical missiles. And I think then based on the rumors is that the Ukrainian forces actually retreated from this position, and they were detected south of Kuravli. So this is what's reported by the Russian sources. They say that they were at the bank of the river, and they say that there's high possibility these are the remnants of the Russian Ukrainian forces that was at Kauchuk. So my guess is that they are heading back to the Ukrainian lines over in this forest region. This is probably where they are heading if this is true. And you can also see how the Ukrainian operation works. They are basically going down a highway, and they realize that the highway is no longer possible after the fighting over at Anastasievka. So they basically head into the countryside and then try to maneuver. But then they got contacted by Russian forces over at Kauchuk, which means that the Russian forces have reinforced, they have established lines around this area, and the Ukrainian forces realize they cannot move forward. They have to find another way out, because if you get stranded in this position and now the highway is most likely under Russian control right now, you might get yourself cut off. That's the danger right now for the Ukrainians in this area, and probably not right now, but right one day ago. So the Ukrainians have to leave. So that's what happening. The front line largely is now over around this area here. Seems to be where the front line is right now. So this Ukrainian forces is basically operating in the rear positions of where the Russians are. That's why there's this danger, and why the theory that the Ukrainian forces is retreating to their own lines makes sense, and through the countryside where it's not along the highway. The highway is a bit too dangerous, and this is where the main roads are, of course, which will be where the main Russian forces will be traveling through. So they are traveling through the countryside and try to go back to the lines, which makes perfect sense. So that's what I think. So, and further south from this northern flank, where this front line is currently being established, Ukrainian forces is reportedly attacking over at Novaya Soroshina, and over at this location just off Malaya Loknia. And then the Ukrainian forces are also attacking Ruskoye Poroshnoye. So which means these are where we know that there are Russian forces right now. The Russian forces have come to these locations, and so this is where the front line is probably at, and they probably come from the highway from this area. And there's also fighting reported at Cherkasskoye Poroshnoi, which means that this line progressed up to that point. So the Russian forces probably come from somewhere, from another road around here. Later we can look for the road. So this is where the front line is at, and so it looks like the front line was still going to move, because it doesn't look like a very easy line to defend. Very complicated terrain around here. As you can see, all these forests around the gully regions, like a lot of gully all over the place, a lot of rivers, not rivers, like valleys, tiny valleys all over the place. Very, very hard place to fight. Snipers could be anywhere, so very interesting terrain. It's totally, we have never seen such a terrain in Ukraine so far in our coverage. So you can see, where we have all these gully or valley regions, is never this much. Like, this is a lot. So Russia clearly do the land management totally differently. So in this area, just off the Cherkasy, so yeah, we saw the highway. So this where the other highway, the Russians came, and this is how they actually reinforce and this line around this side. So the other side is coming from the other highway. So this highway is coming from Kursk, this highway coming from Lgov. So this makes perfect sense. Like, everything must make sense. It must be logical. It's not like magic. It cannot be fantasy. So the forces must come from somewhere, and this makes perfect sense right now. And according to the latest information from Ryba, the Russian forces have recaptured Martinovka, and so after fighting around this area here. So this definitely come along the highway. Ukrainian forces is going to struggle, because this will be one of the first place that they're going to attack. And it looks like the front line is going to be held in this area. Ukrainian forces is also reportedly attacking at Ivashkovkiev. So this is actually reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, as they reported about fighting over at Ivashkovskoye, Malaloknia, and Ohovka, which is basically these few locations. Malaloknia. So did I put the wrong color? So this should be red. Let me see. Malaya Loknia. This is Malaya Loknia as well. So this near, this is at. Okay. That's the difference. I get confused myself. So because of the wording I use is different actually. So yeah, so one is at, one is near. So yeah, that was the situation over there. So yeah, this is what, okay, okay. So this is the current front line right now. So so we are seeing the establishment of front line as the Russians starting to deploy into this area and start to form lines. So we can click so you can see that there is already a line around here in the probably some kind of outer line, and probably the other line was at the Bolshoi Sodatskoye. So now they are pushing in to make sure that that they can actually establish that first line, the front line. So these are the rear lines. So this is currently what we're seeing right now. Over at the situation in Sudja, the fighting currently is still ongoing. The based on not yesterday's information, but on Twitter before I came on to do this recording, I did see some of these special forces, some of these Chechen forces. So they totally look Chechen. They got the Chechen beard, Chechen face. They got some of them become POWs by the Ukrainians. So yeah, a bit of a interesting situation, because they have the armored power, right? The armored power, Sila power, and then they surrender. So I thought they will fight to their death. So that's a surprise to me, because you hardly see them fight. Like you always see them in videos, promotional videos, where they call it the TikTok videos, where they look very heroic. But them becoming POW is something new to me. So Ukrainian forces are geolocated in Makovka, and which means that the Ukrainians have started to do an incursion from the rear position, and maybe this is what they're trying to do to cut off the Russian reinforcement that have come to this area here. And probably this might be also how they managed to capture some of these Chechen fighters. Maybe. Yeah. But again, they call themselves special forces. How can special forces surrender? I have no idea. They should maneuver faster. Yeah, anyway, Ahmad Sila. No, yeah. Ahmad Power. So south of this position, in the very south of the front line at Kursk, Ukrainian forces attempted again to attack the Black Kovo. So based on the latest information, as per 1 day ago, I feel so sad when I say that. The they tried to penetrate, and but they still did not manage to get through. The Ukrainians are trying to start a new incursion, and clearly this line around here may not be very, very strong. And the terrain behind is very, very countryside. It's like super countryside. This is way less established than the one over in the other side, in the northern flank. So, and Ukrainian forces is geolocated around here as they got struck by shelling, Russian shelling. So the shelling monks dropped down from the sky and gave them a pump, and then after that they got dizzy. So this is the current situation over here. The front line holds around here, and in the rear positions, we have some geolocation of Russian airstrikes arriving on Ukrainian reserves over in the Lunakivka and Loknia positions, where the Russian glide bombs are being used, the fat bombs. So the Ukrainian reserve is still around here, is seemingly still around here. They have not deployed inwards. I think they are. I'm not sure what they are waiting for. Are they very confident about their frontline forces, or they feel like they are thinking whether should they really gamble it all? Because what if this force got defeated, and the Russians push in? They need someone to defend the lines, and then if you use up all your reserve, then no one is defending Sumy. Yeah, then that will be disastrous as well. I think that's probably the consideration right now, because they know that this is not going as swimmingly as possible. Because as much as this looks very big, like I mentioned before, why on the first day, even on the second day, I say that of this offensive, I think this has failed. Because my belief is that if you want to do such a huge offensive, you should be going way further. The established line you may have to take Rylers, you have to take this junction, and then and swarm in all directions, much bigger than this. This is pretty big, but it's decent. But given the limitation of the Ukrainian equipments and manpower, and and we are already seeing that all the other front line is falling back, which is a sign that they don't have enough. I would say that, yeah, this is, they probably need to be have a, they need to have much bigger, expansions. And but even they have it, they wouldn't have the forces to man it. And no, so all these meta considerations is the why I feel that no, this offensive has pretty much failed at this moment. So yes, they have the incursion, yes, they have the land, but no, can they hold it is another story. So this my no, of course, the pro-Ukrainian side, I'm quite sure many YouTubers out there are super excited. They say that, oh, the Russians are getting crushed and whatnot. But let me show you how big is Russia. This is Russia. The incursion is just a tiny bit. So so just to put it into context, it looks impressive when you zoom in. Yeah, it's super impressive when you zoom in. But we have to look at the circumstances. Strategically, technically, they are doing decent at this moment, but at this moment, not forever. No, at this moment, but strategically, this is doomed. So, yeah, but I have mentioned many times, they should have they should have done the invasion into Russia, during the 2023 counteroffensive. Now it's too late. They lost too much forces to do it. So then there is this rumor of an offensive south of this KURSK offensive front lines. And this is first reported by Ryba, the pro-Russian sources, talking about the south of the Suzansky district. This is the Krasnoyorovsky district. And then after that, they have the update saying that the breakthrough most likely is a false news. They call it elephant radio. So they say that the sound of fighting is probably heard by the locals is probably very far away, probably from the Suzansky district. So this is a false alarm. So but I put it in because people will ask me. People is gonna ask, why you didn't talk about that part, So yeah, so I talk about it. So over at the edge of the Sumy Kharkiv Oblast region, the Ukrainian forces started to do some harassment over in this area here. This is part of the Sumy region and Kursk region. Ukrainian forces incurred into Poros as well as Mokraya Orlovka. So these two areas got attacked. But the information around here is that there is not much Russian forces around here. It looks like the Russian border is super porous around here. It's the same situation as how the Ukrainians managed to break through over at the Suzansky region, the Sudzha region. So, and the mayor actually came, is it called a mayor? Head of the region actually came into the village to Poros to show the media that the village capture is not real. The village is not captured. So what happened is that Ukrainian saboteurs or soldiers, special forces went in. They managed to capture 2 residents. They actually captured or kidnapped or whatever word you want to use it, and then so that they can use they probably do some videos or whatnot, and then let me see. They were captured by the saboteurs during media raid, returned to their families. Judged by the footage, they were not injured. So I'm not sure if they are returned to families by this way of writing. But anyway, whatever it is, literally the leader of the region actually came in to Poros and to show that the village is actually not taken. So this is a bit of a weird thing. And it is just a sign of how weird this war has been. So the Ukrainians can go in anytime they want, but they can also go back, and then nothing happened. There's no clear fighting. So super weird war. And the same thing happened over at Mokraya Orlovka. But similarly, they went in, probably did some videos, but they haven't posted it yet, and then they left. So this is just incursions, and I decided to leave this border into Poros as a possible presence. But these are border towns. All the border towns are now very dangerous. So yeah, it is what it is. And on the other side, remember I talked about this the Lukashivka as well as the Senisky Kozachok, the Russian forces basically have withdrawn from these two positions because they can't hold positions right there. These are not defensively sound locations. So while the Ukrainians were incurring around here, the Russians also have went back to Russia. So I also leave the this overlapping mapping here, since that they can actually enter and go out at will. So it's not exactly a capture, but the Ukrainians also did not really lose it. So it's a bit of a weird things over there. So we move into the Kharkiv front. So at the Kharkiv front, it's a bit more of the usual right now. But we didn't have this previously. Fighting is reported at Klipoke, Starisia, as well as Voschansk. So this is currently happening. There's no particularly special news regarding here. Yeah, suddenly I have no voice. Give me a second, drink water. 1 second. So you got scammed. Actually, I took 15 seconds, but you don't know because it's a recording. So anyway, yeah, the Ukrainian side do some very long update about the Starisia region and read a lot. They wrote a lot, but generally it's like nothing. There's nothing special about it. So, and then we move on to the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, there is fighting reported at Sinkivka as usual. Nothing particularly special about this, but something in the southern part is super special. Over at the Pischani region, we finally have some updates coming from the Deep State UA, and I feel like they drop a lot of updates. As per Frontline Changes report, you probably have saw this a series of updates around here, and it looks really bad for the Ukrainians. And I wonder if this is the because of the KURSK front, KURSK offensive, it's now appropriate to put out some information right now, or the Russians have now decided to launch a massive offensive operation when the Ukrainians are very distracted. Clearly the commander of the Ukrainian side is focused on the KURSK. So if something big happened on the other side, he will be very distracted. So maybe this is what's happening right now. So over at the Pischani region, Russian forces captured the entire of this forest around here, a huge attack in the southwest of Tabaivka, and they expanded their control in the northern part of Pischani. And in this region here, Ukrainian forces is, based on the mapping, is stranded in a potential encirclement. This is basically exactly how their mapping looks like. I'm not making it up. So you can see this is Pischani, this Tabaivka. You see, I'm not making this up. They literally draw it themselves that they are now in the potential encirclement. They are now in the salience because of Russian advances. And so just to show you, so that I don't show you later, the same thing happens below. In the south of this area, in the Novoselivsky region, Russian forces basically have expanded in this area, and the Ukrainian forces is now on the verge of encirclement. Ukrainian mapping. This Deep State UA. No, this Deep State UA. Deep State. So this is Ukrainian mapping. And it's a surprise to me that that they map it in this way. And which means that they don't want to give the Russians this. They say that the Ukrainians are stranded, and they didn't really talk about it. And that's another surprising thing. It seems like they don't want to demoralize their supporters. They didn't talk about this encirclement. Usually, in normal circumstances, they would have talked about it, and they would have urged the command to pull out the forces. But somehow, no. In this report, they just say, "Oh, map update." They just dump it and totally ignore the fact that the Ukrainian forces are getting encircled, which is bizarre, in my opinion. So anyway, based on the Ukrainian reports from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, there's also an attack in the direction of Khrushchevka. So that was what was reported. In the Berestove region, we are now in the border between the Kupiansk and Sviatove. Sometimes I cannot decide which front is this. So the Russian forces are attacking in the area of Berestove, and based on Ukrainian mapping, the Russians have taken this entire region around Novoselivsky. I think I should zoom in. So, and the Russian forces basically in the process reconquered the entirety of Novoselivsky, and they went all the way down this entire forest lines along the river system and totally secured the entire eastern flank of Berestove. This is a massive, massive update. And in the Ukrainian mapping, it's just one liner. It's just that there's a map update, and it's a surprise to me. So, and again, in this area here, we are seeing Ukrainian forces potentially, in the encirclement. In the encirclement. So, of course, for the Ukrainian mapping, the map looks much bigger, but on the Russian mapping, this looks much more like a potential shutdown and cause an encirclement within this area southwest of Novoselivsky. So this is significant, which is why I want to do this first before I go on to do the mapping for the new day for the 11th of August. Because there is so many important things, and we are already 25 minutes. I'm not even halfway through the map, so this is why that's very significant in this sense. So so this is an update around this area here. South in the Svetove front proper, we also have fighting reported at Stemekivka and Andrievka and Nadia, and particularly these two we also have map updates from the Ukrainian side. You can see so much map updates. So the Russian forces basically have closed down on Stemekivka again, and this time round we are seeing basically it's a broad front, and this will allow the Russians to attack in 4 different vectors. So we already have one around here, down this gully, down this road, down this other road. So this is putting Russians in a very strong position to conquer Stemekivka. And the Ukrainians would, if they don't have enough manpower, they're going to get overwhelmed. So we will see whether what will happen to this. Stemekivka seems to have been a very important position to the Ukrainians. There's always fighting being reported around this area, and the Ukrainians seems to value this area very, very strongly. And I think the main reason is because there's a road leading up to Stemekivka towards where does this go? Yeah, leads all the way to Lozova. Not very important from the look of it, but no, yeah. It's just another front line generally, but no, somehow this seems to be very, very important from the way how people report it. South of this position at Andrievka, the Russians are back. They are now retaken these 2-3 lines. They have went in very closely again, and with the previous Russian claimed mapping of Zerelny, which means that the Russians can now attack in a pincer and another force pushing to the rear position. So Andrievka could fall if the Russians decided to make some push around here. So very significant. So we have multiple significant situation right now over in the Kupiansk-Svetove front, and I believe that this is going to be underreported by other sources. I got a feeling, because if people just chase views, just chase the latest most shining thing, this is not shining. This front line is totally very dull to a lot of people, but for me this is exciting. This is every front is very important. So this is a significant update, and I want to cover this. Nadia fighting reported here by the Russian Defense Ministry. Nothing much to talk about that. So we move south. So over at the Crimea front, we have fighting being reported over at Makiivka, Nevsky, towards Novosadove as well as Dibrova. Some certain geolocations on expected positions, showing the Ukrainian positions within the front line. So no frontline updates regarding all these geolocations. So that's it from Crimea. But you can see this entire front is very activated. So especially in this area here. So let's see. And we go into the Sivers front. At the Sivers front, Russian forces continue their offensive. Fighting is reported at Bilohorivka, Sperny, and Vimka. So that's it from this area here. Nothing special. Over at the Bakhmut front, the fighting seems to be concentrated now in the southern half, with fighting reported at Stupovsky towards Preteshny and towards Bilahora. Fighting is still reported in the region of Chasivia, but you can see Chasivia offensive did not turn into anything, which is what I told you guys all this while. So yeah, But no, only you guys know, because you guys followed me all this time. Hundreds and to hundreds of thousands of people wouldn't know because they follow other channel. So sad. So yeah, so help to share, help to press the like button, promote DPA. So let's move on. Over at the New York front, the usual happening around here. There's Other than this, there is a frontline change update around the Druzhba region. There's fighting reported at Druzhba, Pivnishne, towards Thorax, at the Zalizne region, and New York. I got a feeling that the next Intel drop is going to be shocking, because no updates is suspicious. Because the Russians are pushing so hard, there must be some frontline changes. So let's wait for the Intel drop. See who will drop it. Most likely, it will always be triggered by a geolocation. So over at the Druzhba region, the Russian forces is geolocated, taking this area here. So just east of Druzhba, and which basically conquer the entire of the eastern part, or the eastern outskirt. The Ukrainian forces task is now in another salient, with Russian forces potentially able to cut them off if they choose to. So they can do something like this, and another encirclement. So many encirclements all over the place. So let's see how this go. And we move all the way to the Adivka front. At the Adivka front, northern flank, there's nothing much. There's only fighting reported at Kalinove, and that's it. And then we move into the Pokrov sector. At the Pokrov sector, fighting is reported at Ivanivka, Horodivka, as well as Zalene. There is update regarding in the Ivanivka region based on Ukrainian mapping. The Russians is now on the verge of full capture of Ivanivka. I did mention that this area is going to fall within 1 to 2 days. So this one day, maybe the next update later in the frontline changes report in a few hours time, is going to be like the full of Ivanivka, maybe. So this is an update over at Adivka. And fight in the south, we have fighting reported at Kalivka, and that's about it. Nothing really special here. At Krasnohorivka, the Russians potentially may have restarted their offensive over at Krasnohorivka. There's fighting reported at Georgivka and Maximilianivka. So we have this area is very quiet because this is too extended. So the Russians are not pushing much harder because this is way too extended already. So this is the reason why we are not seeing much updates in that region. In the south, in the highway, in the Konstantinivka Voleda highway region, Russian forces are attacking Vodian and Konstantinivka, and there is updates regarding the Konstantinivka battle. At the Battle of Konstantinivka, the Russian forces have taken the entire eastern part, eastern edge of the settlement, and this confirmed by geolocation, which means that the battle is now ongoing westward progressively, and there is totally no fanfare about this. So it's amazing, such an important settlement, but nobody cares. Everybody cares about KURSK. So we shall see how this goes. And that's it from this area. That over at the rest of the line, there is geolocation of a helicopter missile strike at Preshtivka. Russian forces allegedly attacking in the area of Zolota Neva, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's it from this area of the Donetsk front. And there's nothing over the Velika Novosilka sector. We move into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, Russian forces have started but there is some offensive actions at Malatomashka, which is the usual, but we have fighting reported at Novodanilivka, Novo and Nesteryanka, and Kayamsky. I think the Nesteryanka and Kayamsky is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. Novodanilivka is by the Ukrainians. So Malatomashka, I think it's the Ukrainians or it's the Russians. So these are the compiled report from two sides. So this is not the major offensive yet. I'm still waiting for this Zaporizhia offensive from the Russians. So let's see how this goes, because the redistribution of the duties just make it really suspicious. Over at the Kherson front, we have fighting reported in the Pridniprovsk region, but that's about it. I think we have nothing else around here. Then yeah. So that's it. So this is the situation report for the day of 899 for the 10th of August. So we have why I was burnt out is because of this. The DPA Open Mic episode 91, where we spoke and talked a lot about the Ukraine war. We have a Ukrainian living in the Western Ukraine coming on and share a lot of things about the life in Ukraine, this reality. We also asked him a lot about the fact checking about a lot of the rumors that we have heard about recruitments, about the no men hiding from mobilization and whatnot. All is said and told, and we learned a lot from him. Hopefully he will stay safe and stay hidden, and hopefully he will continue to be a regular member over on DP Open Mic. So anyway, thank you for watching. Check out the frontline changes if you think this is too long. But if you watch this whole thing, then you don't have to watch the frontline changes report. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next update.